Hello again, class. Today we're going to look at, in these lectures, Ephesians and Colossians together. And the reason why we're going to look at them together is because the two books share a lot in common, and there may be good reason for believing Ephesians is a letter that Paul refers to in Colossians as a letter written to the church at Laodicea. Paul writes to the Colossian church these words: "And when this letter has been read among you, have it also read in the church of the Laodiceans, and see that you also read the letter from Laodicea." Paul apparently wrote a letter to Laodicea. We do not have a letter with Laodicea listed in the inscription, but there are reasons to believe that the letter we know as Ephesians might well be that letter. So, let's talk about Ephesians and Colossians. Let's talk about background, date, authorship, those kinds of issues, as we usually do. We'll begin with Ephesians. The letter to the Ephesians, assuming that Paul wrote it, is dated to the early 60s during Paul's Roman imprisonment. There have been those who have argued in the last 100 years or so that Paul did not write this letter, that it was written by someone using his name. Persons who make that argument would date the letter between 70 and 170. Most, however, today accept Paul's authorship, although some do still question it. It was probably written from Rome, although possibly from Caesarea. The best manuscript evidence lacks the word Ephesus in the opening verse of the letter, has a blank, suggesting that it was originally a circular letter, a letter intended to be read at multiple churches around the area. It is possible then that this is the Laodicean letter referred to in Colossians 4:16. It bears the marks of a letter written to people whom Paul did not know face to face, in which he sets forth a summary of his understanding of the gospel. And that, for me, is a telling issue. Paul spent a considerable amount of time in Ephesus. He would know the people in Ephesus. The letter to Ephesus is written as if he doesn't know these people. And in fact, there are no personal greetings in the letter to Ephesus, unlike Colossians, where specific individuals are mentioned by name. Now, with regard to Colossians, again, early 60s, Paul's Roman imprisonment. Most today accept Paul's authorship of the Colossian letter. It was written from Rome, and it was written to refute a number of heretical teachings in the Colossian church. It shares common themes with the Ephesian letter, but there are also some striking differences as well. So with that in mind, let's turn to the theological themes and see what we have. In Ephesians, the theological themes are these. First of all, grace as the grounding of our salvation. Salvation in the Ephesian letter is a comprehensive term. It encompasses all that involves our salvation: justification, forgiveness, adoption, regeneration. All of these concepts are included in the notion of salvation. Salvation is viewed in the Ephesian letter as an accomplished event, something that's fully complete. Another aspect of the letter is that Jesus Christ is the God-man who brings cosmic redemption. He is the one who is both fully God and fully man and brings redemption for humanity and for the restoring of God's creation. Another theme is that we are one new people united in Christ, whether Jew or Gentile, black or white or Asian, Arab, doesn't matter. If you are a believer in Christ, you are one new people in Christ. In Ephesians, Paul speaks most strongly of the universal church, the church that encompasses all believers in all the ages. This concept of the church also involves within this concept of one people, this horizontal reconciliation that breaks down the walls of racism and prejudice and social class. And all of these distinctions are leveled in our union with Christ. Ephesians also deals with a new way of living in experience and expression of God's love. There's a heavy emphasis on this, on living out God's love as an expression of His love to others. It is the church in ministry. The ministry is not something that belongs to a select group within the church. Ministry is something that belongs to the entire church. And so, as an expression of having received God's love and sharing God's love, ministry is shared. And virtuous living is emphasized, how we ought to live virtuous lives, not just a moral code, but virtuous lives, lives that follow the divine example from the heart. And so those are the theological themes in Ephesians. Colossians has two major theological themes. First of all is the refutation of Jewish legalism that had become fused with Phrygian thought in that part of Asia Minor. It's an early form, if you will, of Gnosticism. And then Paul's cosmic Christ is set forth as the cure for this Phrygian heresy. And so Paul's concept of the cosmic Christ is one of Christ who is God and man, who is Lord over all, who is preeminent, who is the divine image bearer, and who is the redeemer of a fallen creation and a fallen humanity. And so those are our introductory thoughts on Ephesians and Colossians. And in our next lecture, we will get into specifics of the outlines of the two books and look at the specific content.